You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
And we are back at the Dr. Dahlia Show, 1-877 Dr. Dahlia, 1-877 DOCDALI. So is a surprise party a good or bad idea? I'm planning a surprise party this weekend. I think it's a bad idea. I think surprise parties are horrible ideas. I don't like people throwing surprise parties for me. I can't stand it. My makeup's not on. My bra straps might be not aligned properly. And then all of a sudden there's all these people with cameras on me. I don't like surprise parties. I don't ever throw me a surprise party. But I'm doing one nonetheless. And I'm doing one for my son. Now, why? Why would I be doing it if it's such a bad idea? And why are surprise parties a bad idea? So I've been very honest with my boys. I talk to them about everything. They knew when I would use cheat sheets in school. I talked to them about my dating practices. I mean, they've heard extensively about Dirk. I mean, so I'm very honest with my boys. But I've also lied to them. And I've lied to them multiple times to surprise them. So we would say we were driving to, there's a hotel called the South Point. That's the more southernmost tip of the city. And we would start driving southwest saying, yeah, we got to go see your uncle. Your uncle's in town. And I would hide their suitcases in the back. And we would actually be driving to LA to go to Disneyland. And so I would be lying to them. Then my older son would be like, wait a second. I think I see a suitcase. What are we going to do? And then he would figure it out. And so I introduced them to abduction, to lying early on. And then when my younger son was younger, we again pretended the same uncle was in town. And we had to stop by the hotel to pick him up for dinner. And he's like, okay, that'll be cool. What do I wear? And I go, we'll wear something comfortable. And then again, I hid his suitcase. And we ended up having a birthday party, and all his friends, he walks into the room, and all his friends are there, right, for an overnight birthday party at the hotel, and then they go and hit the pool. And my son said that was one of the best parties he ever had. So even if he hates surprises, I'm going to do that again. So why would I be doing it again? Well, my son graduated, and, he had been kind of back and forth on, do I want a party, do I not? And he said, no, I don't think I want a party. You don't have to go through that, Mom. You don't have to make me a party. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. Remember when he would tell me, I want a new mommy? I'm like, okay, go. See ya. Go find a new mommy. So I was like, well, that's believable. And then what I did is I said, you know what? I'm going to be in New York a lot in June. So I'm going to do my birthday party now. So I'm going to have my birthday party next week, which is now. Yeah. And I'm like, here's the invite. Send it to any of your friends if they want to hang out and drink and eat. And so I made up a whole nother invite. Meanwhile, I said to everybody else that it's a surprise party. Now, still people have already blown it because they've come up to him going, congratulations. And he's like, congratulations on what? I was like, what the hell are you talking about? But I still think he's naive enough to know what's going on. But the mistakes people make with these surprise parties is the average person isn't surprised. They figured it out. Because either the family member is a horrible liar, or the only other time that they've, been so good at lying was when they were trying to cover up a party. Digital text, digital invites, somehow they know about them. Don't ask how. Plus, what if they aren't in the mood for a party? If I was constipated or I had, an IBS flare, last thing I want to do is now spend 2-3 hours with people, right? That when I really want to go home and use the toilet. So what's really, really hard about that is you don't understand that somebody might not be in the mood. We all have social batteries now. We keep hearing about social batteries. Yeah, my social battery is out. My social battery is out. And I never called it that. The younger generations call it that. I used to call it, I don't think I could talk anymore. I think I'm tired. But I really wasn't tired. I just didn't want to talk anymore. Well, that's a social battery. And so some people, their social battery might not be perfect on Saturday night. It might not be full. It might not be recharged. And so, I have it all set up and I have it all planned. And I think he's going to be surprised. He's got to go pick up Grandpa and he's got to go whatever. And then Grandpa's coming in for my birthday. He's like, well, Mom, it's not really your birthday. I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to be busy in June. I'm actually going to be on another trip, so I'm not going to be there for my birthday. So whatever. But surprise parties. I mean, I really have to lie. I am going through extensive deceit, and my kids now, who I promised I would never lie to, and I would always tell them like it is, don't believe me on things because I've done so much surprises and things that they don't believe a word I say. They think I'm lying to them. So my worry is if he really doesn't know, and then he sees that I did this anyway for him, whether he wanted it or not. And I think he does want it. I think he does because he was just recently at a party. Because I asked him, I go, look, you tell me if later in July if you want me to do a grad party for you. I'll get everybody together and we'll do one. And he's like, okay, I'll let you know. So I know he's going to be happy, but I mean, he's going to think of me as like the biggest liar. And I already have a hard enough time telling them things now and having them, they already think I'm just BSing them. I'm like, yeah, vaping's bad. Chew and these nicotine Zen pouches are bad for you. No, they're not. You're just saying that because you're a mom. I'm like, no, or you're saying that because you're planning a surprise party. No, I'm not. So personally, I don't think surprise parties are a good idea. But when you think, we keep talking about how relationships can get stale, and sometimes, especially like with somebody you've been married to for a while, it's nice to kind of surprise them and do something different. I mean, my husband and I are about to celebrate our 30th, right? Or at the end of this year. And most likely, we're going to be watching football and then maybe going to dinner. And then, I need to kind of shake it up a little bit. Now, people are saying you need to renew your vows. The renewing the vows is really, really difficult for me because I have a laminated list like on Friends. And, I got through the vows once and I feel like, let's say Michael Fassbender does come into my world or Viggo Mortensen. And, they say, look, let's hook up. I don't want to do the vows because they make you do the vows in front of God. I don't know if I want to make any more promises right now. So no, we're not going to renew our vows. All right, I did them once. I could claim I was drunk. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys, we're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Spelled Out Dahlia, Facebook, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So there's been a lot of talk about Spencer Pratt possibly being the next LA mayor, which I think would be very, very exciting. And it would, I'm from LA. I was born in, it's called Cedars of Lebanon. It's now Cedars of Sinai Hospital. So I was born in Southern California, and I, still deep in my heart, consider myself a Californian, even though I grew up, spent most of my childhood in Phoenix and in Las Vegas. But, when you're a young kid and you're just your memories. I really love Southern California, and I love the state of California. I hate to see it fall apart like it is. And the current mayor, Karen Bass, is very lacking. And how, she handled the wildfires, just absolutely ridiculous. And look, I'm very understanding about how you could have a natural disaster. And blaming a politician for a natural disaster is not justified. But what is justified is the preparation and criticizing if they were prepared and how they instituted what they did before the natural disaster, what they did during the natural disaster, and then the cleanup and the relief for those after the natural disaster. And big mistakes Karen Bass did was, one is I believe she helped promote the defunding of the fire department. She did not have enough water in the reservoirs and hydrants. And from what we understand, listen to the fire chief's recommendations. I know there's a report and there's going to be a lot of back and forth as to he said, she said type of thing. But one thing that I saw very alarmingly that both Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass should have done, and maybe they did and the media didn't cover it, but as I've said this multiple times, when the hurricane, I forget which one, was about to hit Florida a couple years ago, Governor DeSantis told everybody to get their electric vehicles out of their garages, move them to higher ground, because a flooded electric vehicle can ignite, and it's impossible to put an electric vehicle fire out without requiring tens of thousands of gallons of water. And so Karen Bass should have told everybody, the Pacific Palisades, everybody, get your electric vehicles away from the house, get them out of the area. And that was not advised. And sadly, electric vehicles, we saw the aftermath, electric vehicles burned to a crisp, houses burned to, they couldn't, you can't put out the fire, not only of the vehicle, but the house, if the vehicle is inside the house. So why didn't Karen Bass or Gavin Newsom give the same advice that Governor DeSantis did? That's kind of common knowledge. And nobody's even talking about that now. Now we're coming back into wildfire season, and we're coming into hurricane season. I'm telling you guys right now, if you have an electric vehicle, get that as far away from your house as possible if a natural disaster is on its way. And then the aftermath of it, look at all the, these people are not going to build their home for years between codes and construction access. And people are going to probably take their money and then later maybe sell the land. But to rebuild now, it's going to be so much more expensive. And I don't know if insurance is going to come. Then they're going to have a major insurance crisis. And so I don't know if Karen Bass is doing a good job. From what I could see, big mistakes. So she's in a statistical tie with Nithya Raman, a city council member, and only a couple percentage points behind both of them is Spencer Pratt. You also have Ray Hong, a community organizer, Adam Miller, a tech entrepreneur. So looking at this is the latest UC Berkeley LA Times poll. This is kind of a statistical dead heat between the top three. Now, I was listening to Fox News, Brian Kilmeade, who I like a lot. I get to hang with them every year at Talkers Magazine conferences. He said Spencer Pratt's going to win. And he's easily going to get the 50%. So how they call them, was the term, I forget the term they use, but where whoever gets more than 50% during the primary wins. But if you have two people, the top two are under 50%, they go head to head then in the primary, or they go head to head in the general election. So right now the top two is Karen Bass and Nithya Raman. And even though Spencer Pratt says, she's not going to win, she should go now. Yeah, and if she does go, are the Democrats that are supporting Raman going to go to Pratt? Or are they going to go to, if Raman leaves, it's going to be a Pratt-Bass runoff in November. If Raman stays, could be a Raman-Bass, and then Spencer Pratt could be out. Now, he's only trailing by a couple percentage points, and he says that he has Jamie Foxx endorsing him, Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't know. I haven't, checked Instagram to see if they've actually announced anything. I don't think they have. But, Spencer Pratt is still pretty well connected. And he's not necessarily running as a Republican. He's running as, guys, look at these. Look at our homeless crisis. Look at the drug crisis. Guys, look at these videos. Come on. This is under current leadership. Let's fix this. Can he fix it? Maybe. I don't know much about him. But what I do know is he's not Karen Bass, who looks like is failing L.A. And I've been to L.A. It's the homeless crisis horrible. Traffic's still horrible. Prices are still horrible. Shouldn't be like that. That's my hometown. Not happy about that at all. But for people thinking that this is going to be a shoo-in, it's close. It just, if Raman bows out, and I don't think she will, the election is in a few days. What's going to probably happen is if Pratt can beat Raman, then it's him and Bass. But I think he's going to win 50% of the vote next Tuesday? Probably not. It would be nice if it is just one, because then, people can save money. But it'll be interesting nonetheless. Now, a lot of people are talking about President Trump's $250 bill. This $250 bill, and I know people are like, oh my gosh, he can't do this. So it is the 250th anniversary. We don't have a $250 bill. And yes, I am sure that President Trump would love his picture on currency. You could only, under current laws, have your picture on currency if you're dead. So we definitely don't want to jinx anybody. I made some money with my kids' pictures, and now I'm thinking, I hope I don't want to jinx anything. So I'm going to kind of maybe not post those, because I played around with ChatGTP. But the Congress can't change the law and say, look, you can do a commemorative bill for the semi-quincentennial, which is our 250th anniversary, or our quarter centennial. And so the Bureau of Engraving and Printing has prepared prototype designs, along with his signature and the signature of Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Current U.S. statute dictates that only deceased individuals can appear on official currency. For this bill to become reality, Congress must pass legislation authorizing an exemption. So GOP Representative Joe Wilson introduced the Donald J. Trump $250 Bill Act. The legislation has kind of just been, I guess, sitting, languishing in committee. Democrats have vowed to block the move, so I'm not sure if that's going to happen. I don't want to spend a lot of money on this, but I do like the idea of there being, I remember in 1776, now I was really, really young, where I remember looking, and my mom had some special coins from 1776. That was pretty cool. And so minting something and minting commemorative things for such a huge birthday and benchmark in our history is not uncommon. Now, what Trump could do, if he wants to get this passed, is make the $250 bill, not necessarily put his picture on it, but puts something else on there, and he can do that. But I think the Congress is going to kind of pause it if it has his picture on it. And I get if it's the psychology is very obvious. Trump hated the fact that after he left office, people tried to erase everything he did and recharacterize his pretty good presidency from 2016 to 2020. So he's trying to do things that will be cemented in history. 1-877 Doc Dolly. Don't go away.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
in many states, the cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts. Due to a cleaner burn, there are less hydrocarbons and particulate matter in your exhaust. This reduces the blockage of your diesel particulate filter. Using Diesel Extreme generates 83% less DPF regeneration. The 6-in-1 Diesel Extreme formula also includes the most concentrated detergent on the market, lubricity enhancer, water demulsifier, rust and corrosion inhibitors, and a fuel stabilizer.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret.
Powered by science.
We are back on the Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So, a teenager in Utah has suffered life-threatening injuries doing what boys sadly do. And this almost got him killed. And it's a TikTok trend that we're seeing on TikTok. It's called couch surfing. It's where somebody's driving around a couch and you're sitting on the couch. Levi Tiement from Provo had to be put into a medically induced coma after partaking in the stunt. According to his mother, Amy, who spoke to KSL, a leg of the couch broke. Then sent her 15-year-old son projectilely through the air on May 8th. He suffered a fractured skull, traumatic brain injuries, fractures to his spine, broken ribs, facial fractures, open wounds to his body. And his friends and he were at a church parking lot in the city when they decided to couch surf. Levi sadly gets thrown from it. According to his mom, the group of teens had attempted the dangerous stunt the week prior, but her son wasn't a part of it. But he had to go the week after. She told KSL, he told me he was so proud that he didn't do it since he saw all of his friends do it and they walked away safe. He must have thought it was okay. The first time he makes that choice, he sits on the couch and the couch leg breaks and he goes flying. It's a horrible, horrible accident. Thank God he lived. Man. She told medical professionals, medical professionals had to put him into induced coma and on paralytic drugs to keep him paralyzed. My guess is he had some severe brain swelling. And he had his 16th birthday while he was in a coma. According to the mom, doctors and nurses said that this isn't the only time they've treated something like this. This is on the trend. And this is the third case they had seen this year, just at Primary Children's in Salt Lake alone. So we're trying to warn people to not do this. She shared the footage of him on Instagram, dedicated to his recovery. And, hopefully he'll be able to, recover and walk again. There's a GoFundMe page that has raised at least over $55,000. There is also an active criminal investigation into the incident that put him in the hospital because the driver of the vehicle was a juvenile and put somebody else at risk. So a search by TikTok showed some videos, but you also see it on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, YouTube. So TikTok said they're trying to scrub these videos. And YouTube said they don't allow content, according to Daily Mail, that depicts extremely dangerous driving. And in some cases, we may age restrict otherwise violative content with educational or documentary context. I don't think Meta or Instagram has answered back. But, this is frightening. Hopefully he'll be able to recover. It's been now a couple weeks. And so they're asking for donations on their GoFundMe. In the meantime, California Assembly has passed Assembly Bill 1709 to prohibit children under 16 from having social media accounts. California Assembly is worried about youth depression and suicide linked to online platforms. The bipartisan measure empowers the state attorney general to enforce rules against companies offering addictive feeds, just like what Australia did. Australia did a national ban for teens and kids. Now, critics say the bill infringes on the First Amendment rights and can harm vulnerable youth communities. So this is going to get to the Senate, and there is going to be a big Senate debate. But, this is interesting. I look at social media as a place where predators could get to kids. And I think we can allow there to be protections. Now, the difference here is it violating free speech, not allowing a child to have an account? Or do we just, if we want to protect them, limit the predators? The problem is there's millions upon millions of people on these. How can you tell someone's a predator? And we're already seeing that the social media companies are really struggling as Twitter got hacked. My Twitter account gets hacked. They think I'm posting spam, which I can't see. I couldn't see any of that on my account. And then they decided to suspend it. And I'm like, okay, I'm a good guy. And you're going through all this to block me. Meanwhile, there's kids being approached. People are being approached by, wasn't there a lady who had just met somebody who tried to kill her on a date? I mean, this is some frightening stuff that's out there. And so if we don't feel the forum is safe, are we allowed to block kids from going to that forum? Like, let's say we don't think a school is safe. Are we allowed to block kids from going to that school? If we don't think a mall is safe, are we allowed to block kids from going there? We are allowed to, if we think an area is unsafe, to have barricades. Police, we are allowed to block you from being on a public sidewalk, going into an area. And so I think there are legal justifications and precedents to prevent, a child from going on someplace where there could be predators. But where the question starts to then come up is, well, you're saying it's linked to anxiety and depression. Now that's starting to stretch it. They're not wrong. The evidence is there. This can cause anxiety and depression, but not for everybody. It's like somebody saying, Dahlia, if you have a margarita, the alcohol can cause anxiety and depression, so we're not going to allow you to have the margarita. And you're like, but I'm good. I've had a margarita. I haven't had anxiety and depression with it. I'm good. Leave me alone. Let me have my damn margarita. Ooh, see, you're grumpy. So, saying that a child is going to go on these and then get anxious or depressed, it's a little difficult. When somebody says that their child died of suicide because of social media, I'll always believe the parent, because these kids are on social media and we're even seeing chat bots, talk, these kids into how to do it. And there can be evidence showing that there's that link. But in a court of law, were they already suicidal before they went on the social media? Teenagers have sadly been suffering from anxiety and depression for centuries. I think it's higher. I think the numbers are a lot higher now. But if somebody is saying that them going on Instagram or Twitter caused them to kill themselves. What else did that child see? Well, they saw Squid Game. They saw Game of Thrones. They've been watching Tulsa King or whatever. They're on Netflix and they watch Grey Goo and The Mandalorian. How do we know, how do we prove after that child died that what exactly did it? That's where it gets a little harder with law. Do I think there should be restrictions on young kids? I think there should be. Do we ban them completely from these platforms? I don't think we can. Because this is now the tailgate. This is now the Sadie Hawkins dance. This is where kids go. This is where kids go to be social. Now, can you alter their photo uploading? Can you alter their... See, the other thing also that we have is, just like with cell phones in schools, I don't like the idea of banning cell phones completely, because if there's a shooting, God forbid, a kid needs to be able to access their phone and call the police. Or contact their parent. So, with social media, that's where they're getting sometimes their news. There's a shooting. There's something going on. Maybe I better rethink about going to the mall because there was just a shooting at another mall. So this is where they get their news. So we have to be a little careful. But in terms of them putting themselves at risk for, pedophilia and predators and things like that, I think we can have restrictions. Absolutely. 1-877-DOC-LA.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. So, have you ever gone on a date just to get a free meal? Sadly, I did once. I hate to admit it, but I'm going to be honest with you guys. I did it once. I was maybe 19 or 20. I wasn't going to get paid for about another day or two. And this guy asked me out, and I was, remember I told you I was living on $6 a week to eat? So I would buy a loaf of bread, a container of milk, and a stick of butter. I would buy a loaf of bread, some turkey, ham, some milk and cereal, and I would try to make that work for a whole week and stretch that out for a whole week. I was pretty hungry. So when this guy asked me out, I go, well, where do you want to go? And he told me the place, and I was like, yeah. Now, I didn't sleep with him or anything like that. Gave him a peck on the cheek, and I said, I'll call you. And I never did. And I've really felt guilty about that. I really have. And I didn't think much about it until I saw this study, this survey. 40% of Americans have admitted to doing that. And apparently it's a growing trend with dating. And it's always happened. I mean, this is not something new. I mean, the 50s, getting a free, milkshake and date and things like that. I mean, that has sadly always happened, but it's happening more so because you can't vet or screen who you're dating as easily because of all the apps. And so if you are, meeting somebody for the first time and they're like, I don't want to go for coffee. I don't learn anything from you for coffee. I want to meet you for dinner. Take me to dinner. And that person goes, yes, that person could get screwed over. So this is interesting. This is being reported by Fox News, and it's a recent survey from J.G. Wentworth, which is a finance services company, right? The one that has all those opera singers. And they said that 39.9% or 40% of respondents admitted to have gone on a date at least one occasion to get a free meal. Over a quarter said they never did that, but they've considered it. And 32.6%, only 32.6% said they would have never considered it. Now, I got to be honest. I only did it once, and I really didn't want to. I was like, you know what? It's not worth it. To spend time with somebody you really don't want to be. And the guy wasn't bad looking. I was like, well, maybe, I didn't do it just to eat. So maybe I can't qualify for that. I mean, we're talking about somebody going, look, I really don't want to date you at all, but I want to get a free meal. I think that's who we're talking about. For me, I was like, I'm hungry. Let's go. Let's do it. Yeah, let's try it. And so, I think I'm still a little bit more innocent with that. But 1,538 adults were asked, are Americans too broke to date? What is the cost of modern romance? And among their key findings, they said the average American spends $93 on their first date. Many daters, 60%, think spending expectations around dates are higher now than they were in the past. 3 in 10 people, or 30%, have turned down a date because they couldn't afford it. 85.7% have turned down a second date because they felt they didn't align financially with the other person. Now, this stinks because, finding your true love, finding you got to get out there. You got to meet people. And we've talked about dating on a budget. One thing that I think is always good to do is look and see if there's like a festival or something that you could go to for free, but you could stop and grab a burger or a pretzel or a drink or something like that. And so one thing you can do is if you don't want to spend $60 at Applebee's or whatever, a lot of people don't want to go to Applebee's. I like Applebee's, but I don't really go there often. You could say, look, I'm not asking you out, but I'm going to be checking out the fair. I'm going to be checking out the this event. Do you want to come with me? Let's hang out a little bit. That takes some of the pressure off. You're not expected to spend a lot of money. Now, you could offer to get the burger or the hot dog or something like that. But it's a way where you guys could talk, spend time. And it's also kind of a nice first date. The county fair, the whatever. And there's a lot of these things out there. You have to just find them. You got to look online or get a newspaper, a local newspaper. I never know about it until it's done with. I'm like, really? There was but there's ways to, because you want to also vet the person too. And to come up with $93 for a first date, because you got to buy the meal, you got to buy drinks, you're going to show off, maybe do an appetizer, and then you got to tip. And, tipping $20, $25, $30 for, depending on what you order. you're spending about $100 for that first date. And if you think that person is only doing that to get a free meal out of you, you're going to be ticked and you're going to stop dating. How many $100 do you have? My first date with Corey was I met up with him just to say hi and see him again because I hadn't seen him for a couple years. And this other guy I dated had come up to Reno to hang out, and I asked him about Corey because I'm going to be in LA, so I'm going to give him a call. So we met up and we decided to walk around Santa Monica Park, and it was a fantastic evening. Bought a couple things, whatever. Wasn't a big fancy. I don't like that idea of a first date dinner where you're sitting across and you're like, and it's awkward. It's easier to just hang. And then we went and saw Apollo. Was it Apollo 13? The next day, I think, or the day after. I think we saw that Tom Hanks movie. And then we start to actually go on dates and dinner dates and things like that. And it worked out. I mean, we've been together. But there's a lot of distrust that can happen and a lot of awkwardness. And unfortunately, you do have a lot of old school thinking with girls out there. And I've seen girls talk and they've said, look, if he's not willing to put the money, I'm not going to put the time. Well, a lot of people, they don't have the money. And if they got screwed over, you're not going to be asked out. Okay. And then, you know what? Then they're not financially secure. So that's a great way to filter them out. I want somebody who's financially secure. I don't know how many people are going to be financially secure with the way things are going with AI. And I got to be honest with you. If there is going to be the AI apocalypse ruining everybody's jobs and most of our jobs, don't you want to weather the storm with someone you really, really like and care about? I could be poor with Corey. I could be, back in our single bedroom apartment or studio. I was living in somebody's backyard and he had built like a little room with this little baby, like portable shower. And I lived there when I was in medical school for part of my rotations because I couldn't afford. And when you have to go back and forth and move around, it's really kind of hard to be in one apartment. And me and Corey, we were the happiest there in somebody's backyard. And that's kind of what you want to find. And that's kind of how you want to vet somebody. Am I in a relationship where no matter what happens, we're good? But I understand people are like, I want somebody with some dough and who's going to spend money on me. But if the average guy is out there going, I'm going to get screwed over, because still people think the guy has to pay. See, for me, I'm like, we'll split it. I don't want to make you pay. Not that I'm women's lib or anything like that. I don't think it's fair to have the guy pay all the time. I mean, we want women's rights, we want equality, yet then we go back to, oh yeah, you have to pay for everything. No, it's look, I could pay, I'm a career woman. I could pay my share. You cover this time, I'll cover the next. And then later we put our money together and we enjoy our lives together. So, for those of you, how do you tell if somebody's going to do that? If you're meeting them online, you're not going to be able to tell. So then don't make it the first date. Make the first date something more, where there's some community event. You go there. This way there's lots of people, public place, people don't feel, or do the coffee thing. Or meet them for lunch. Lunch is cheaper. 1-877-DOC-DOLLAR. Don't go away.
Hi, everyone. Super Bowl champ Vernon Davis here from Legal Help Center. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up, because we have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. You can find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. The call is free, the consultation is free, and you can speak with a live agent right now. So if you or someone you know were injured in an accident of any kind, call now to find out if you have a case and how much you could potentially get.
Thanks, Vernon. You heard it, folks. If you've been injured, call and find out how much you qualify for. Call 800-679-0800. That's 800-679-0800. 800-679-0800. Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states. Not available in California.